I promise you we're going to end on something much better. We're going to end on the Mom for Liberty group in New Hampshire, who right now has put a bounty on teachers' heads if they're teaching some forms of critical race theory. Now, as a reminder, hang on, we got George Andre Veloso Nunez. Buzz Lightyear went to infinity and beyond. He did, didn't he? Now, before we get into this article, as a reminder, New Hampshire does have an anti-CRT bill, per se. They do. They did ban some divisive concepts, but if you're watching this channel, you understand, as I do, that you can still absolutely teach critical race theory in New Hampshire. It does not ban the teaching of critical race theory, it just bans certain divisive concepts. However, still, I have to give the Moms for Liberty group credit, and full disclosure, I am actually a member of the Moms for Liberty in New Hampshire. I just became a member like 2 weeks ago. So like I do have to give them credit for this, because this is actually it's pretty kick-ass, and it got covered in Forbes, which is pretty great. And you know this guy's like a teacher, and so he's gonna be reading good. Live Free or Die has given way to Shut Up or Else. New Hampshire has set up a system for letting the public turn in public school teachers for a violation of its new anti-divisive subject matter law, and Moms for Liberty have offered a cash reward to parents who use it. New Hampshire's GOP-controlled legislature inserted its anti-language into this year's budget as the right to freedom from discrimination in public workplaces and education, and as many critics have noted, the language is particularly vague, forbidding the teaching of divisive concepts. No, it's not. It's actually really specific. So per usual, Forbes is wrong. P.S. By the way, did you guys know I used to be a contributor to Forbes? And basically being a contributor to Forbes basically means you can write whatever the hell you want and no one fact checks anything. But they fired me and never told me they fired me after like I started speaking out on political stuff. And I just logged onto the website one day and I noticed I was labeled a former contributor. This is how I knew I was fired as a contributor for Forbes. You don't get paid anyway, so it's like not that big of a deal. I was not crying myself to sleep. But I want you guys to know this. Like, being a contributor to Forbes basically means you can write whatever the hell you want. You really can. They don't fact check anything. It's basically like having a blog. That's all it is. Anywho, the language was particularly vague, forbidding the teaching of divisive concepts related to race and gender. The Department of Education has offered some clarifications, but it focuses on the discrimination portions of the law, not the divisive concepts portion. And if the department's guidance really is the whole story, the anti-critical race theory law doesn't actually prohibit critical race theory at all. Exactly. It doesn't. After Governor Chris Sununu signed the bill into law, more than half of his diversity council quit. Which should be a lesson to Chris Sununu. Side note, which should be a lesson to Chris Sununu not to work with the Democrats, which is exactly what Chris Sununu did in this circumstance. He worked with the Democrats to support the Democrats, not to support the Republicans trying to pass an effective law. While many states have anti-laws that are also vague, New Hampshire has added another layer guaranteed to chill classroom speech. Teachers who violate the law can be brought before state authorities and lose their license if it is found they have discriminated against an individual or group. Okay, so what they're saying is that what the law in New Hampshire does ban is it bans teaching that one race is superior to another race. It absolutely bans that. It bans teaching that someone should be made to feel guilty because of how they were born. Stuff like that. It bans teaching that a group should receive adverse treatment based on the color of their skin. Stuff like that. 100% does ban that. So that's good. My issue is that we all know that that is not the way that critical race theory is mostly taught in schools. It's like this much of the problem, or we still have this big chunk that is still allowed in New Hampshire schools because of how Chris Sununu screwed up this law in the first place. Anyway. To farther up the ante, the group has now set up a website to let parents and students to turn in teachers if they believe they have violated the law. Students and parents may fill out this form. Hang on, we'll bring that up. Probably should have had it up anyway. A questionnaire that can be submitted to the state. You can see here So they have a questionnaire they can fill out to make sure the state knows what's going on. There's a space to describe what action was taken against you that you believe to be discriminatory, that can include any differentiation in privileges, discipline, harassment, and retaliation. It asks the parents if they filled out the complaint with the Department of Education and gives the option of giving race and national origin of the complainant. If State Commissioner of Education Frank Edelbutt's encouragement to turn in a teacher is not enough, Moms for Liberty's New Hampshire chapter has also gotten involved. Moms for Liberty, the national group that started out advocating for reopened schools and an end to masking policies, and then moved on to agitating against CRT, has decided to put a price on the head of New Hampshire teachers. On Friday, the group tweeted out, "We've got $500 for the person that first successfully catches a public school teacher breaking this law. Parents, students, teachers, school staff, we want to know. We will pledge anonymity if you want it. End someone's career and collect a bounty." The term bounty is not hyperbole. In response to a question about how to contribute, Moms for Liberty New Hampshire suggested to PayPal them and mark CRT bounty in the notes. And I do believe, and we'll look at Moms for Liberty here in a sec. I do believe this bounty is actually up to like $1,300. Hang on. I definitely should have brought this up. I do believe that this bounty is now up. Here it is. $1,300 and counting. So if you live in the state of New Hampshire and you want to collect $1,350, please make sure you can reach out to the Moms for Liberty group. But remember, you have to have specific evidence of them breaking the anti-CRT law, which is not the same thing as them as teaching CRT. There are still many, 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 many elements of CRT that can be taught under this law in New Hampshire. They can teach the 1619 Project. They can teach about systemic racism. They can teach America's a fundamentally racist country. They can teach all about equity. But if you have evidence that they are breaking the specific law in New Hampshire by teaching people that it's okay to discriminate against one class of people because of the color of their skin, that they're teaching kids that one group is superior over another group based on the color of their skin, things like that, you can collect this bounty. And if you want to donate, you can reach out to m4lhillsboro@gmail.com and, let us know if you know anything. Let us know. I think it's a great idea. The only thing that scares me, and this is not Moms for Liberty fault, I just really want people in New Hampshire and anywhere else, make sure you look at the anti-CRT laws that are being passed. The specific language of the laws. I just really want people in New Hampshire to know that they are absolutely still teaching critical race theory in New Hampshire. It is 100%. It is not even a question. And also, and people are talking in the chat about social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is 100% in the schools in New Hampshire. And so just because there are some components that are banned, people need to make sure that they do not take that as the end-all be-all, because it is not. The most insidious stuff that they're teaching in the public schools is still completely and totally legal. And people need to know that, and they need to be honest about that. But that shouldn't detract from what Moms for Liberty is doing. I think it's pretty great. I think it's awesome. I think it's even better that this Forbes contributor was so pissed about it that he did a whole hit piece that is not accurate at all. But that's what happens. All right, guys. One more thing before we conclude for today. I just want to do a quick shout out to Zach2040 on Twitter. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Zach. Zach, I find to be one of the best follows on Twitter. 16-year-old kid. Maybe he's 17 now. I don't know. He's definitely still in high school. One of the best follows on Twitter. I love this kid. Make sure you give Zach a follow. Happy birthday, Zach. Love you, buddy. That's all I got. All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode of Effed Up News, please make sure you mount that like button. Please make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're watching on, whether you be on Facebook, or Rockfin, or YouTube, or Odyssey. And please make sure you join my locals community. Again, you can join for free, kb.locals.com. You can also make sure you support the work I'm doing by becoming a supporter on the platform, which unlocks all the features. You can do that for $5 a month. You can do that for $50 a year. You can make a one-time gift. And if you want to go the extra mile, please make sure you pre-order my book, Actively Unwoke. It is now available on Amazon. Don't worry if you want a Kindle edition. The digital copy's coming, okay? It's going to be available. Don't worry. But if you want the hardcover, that's available for pre-order on Amazon right now. That's all I have for today, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your weekend.